Hello, everyone. My name is Samalid Hogan, and I'm here joined today by Evan Plotkin. Evan is the third generation to serve as the president of NAIPlotkin, and he has been around the commercial real estate industry for over 3 decades and has extensive experience in all aspects of property management, commercial brokerage, including commercial office buildings, medical office buildings, industrial buildings, shopping centers, you name it. And so I'm really happy to be here today, joined by Evan, to learn more about him, his journey, his business, his family business, and what the future holds. Welcome, Evan.
Thank you, Samala. I appreciate you allowing me to speak today. It's an honor to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you. And so, Evan, my first question to you is, tell us a little bit about NAIPlotkin, what it is today.
Sure. So NAIPlotkin is a full-service real estate management brokerage company where we're vertically integrated so that we have when we complete a sale of a property, oftentimes we do the construction that's associated with that sale, or in a lease situation, a tenant needs a build out. We can do that. We offer services, really through the entire life cycle of a property. So we can do the brokerage, we can do the construction, and then we can do the property management. We do transactions and property management for organizations like Staples and Best Buy all over the country. So we're not limited geographically in the Western Mass area. We've expanded our reach through NAI Global to be able to provide services around the country right now. We're with part of NAI Global, which we joined. We're one of the oldest members of that organization. I think we joined in 1994, 95. And NAI Global is one of the top 5 largest commercial real estate networks in the world, and we have offices all over the world. It was never really part of a plan that we would be so fully integrated, especially on the construction side. But right now we were just awarded a construction job for the city of Springfield. We're going to be building 4 homes for people who are economically disadvantaged. So we are going to be doing ground up construction for that. We're also and because we have been able to attract really good talent, we're able to provide those kinds of services that not only help our company but also benefit the community as well. Aside from just the commercial real estate services we do and the property management and all of that, we also focus a lot on our nonprofit world and try to support the different nonprofits that are meaningful to us. So we're very much embedded in the community in a lot of ways, and it's really helped our company get recognized and grow and be really, we feel like we're a big part of the Springfield Greater Western Mass community.
Great. And you're located in Springfield, Massachusetts, but your services, your brokerage services expand across states, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we are, because of our NAI Global relationship, we can do transactions all over the country. So, for example, if you're working with a national client, like a Mass Mutual or a Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever it is, that they want sites, we can provide those kinds of services with one point of contact in Springfield. So if we have the relationship with a national retailer, and that national retailer says they really want to open stores in New Jersey, I don't have an office in New Jersey, but the NAI office in New Jersey I would work with, and then we would be able to provide services to that organization, to that client. And it really works great because they have one point of contact, and we have really very qualified people with boots on the ground in all these other markets. So whether it's it could be Anchorage, Alaska, or West Palm Beach, Florida, and every point in between, we have offices throughout the country that can service clients, and they don't have to deal and search for someone who can help them in those markets. They call me, and we can say, this is who we have in that market, and then we kind of manage the process.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Everybody's wondering here, what's happening in commercial real estate. I mean, everybody knows residential, there's not a lot of inventory out there, so houses are going for 15-20% more,
Right.
and so forth. But commercial real estate, and you own a building in downtown Springfield. You're one of three partners who owns a building. I know in the next couple of minutes, can you tell us like what's it like, what's going on in that area right now?
Well, that area, the office market, has always been struggling in Springfield. So there's nothing really new about that. I think that the potential for growth in office is not great right now. I think we're going to have to be creative because there's a lot of inventory, as you said. There's not a lot of demand for office space downtown. So consequently, that impacts that business quite a bit. So we have been looking at many different opportunities in terms of building tech and lab space to attract some of the clients or prospects from Boston, where they're paying over $100 a square foot. In Springfield, we're $16 to $20 a square foot. So it's really amazingly contrast in terms of how affordable office space is in Springfield compared to Boston, just 90 miles away. But until we have more demand in Springfield and can attract businesses here, we need to really kind of target what those businesses are looking for, and see how we can develop our building to accommodate those particular needs for lab space and that tech kind of world. The other option is looking at remote work hubs like WeWork, and you and I have talked many times in the past about developing co-working, co-living, mostly co-working space, but now we're looking at co-living and co-working together, and called a remote work hub. And I'm actually involved right now in a feasibility study for bringing residential to 1350 Main Street.
Wow, that's
maybe
new. That's
really exciting. And I think that because of our location, right off of a park, 5 minutes from a riverfront park, 5-minute walk to the museums, across the street from the Mass Mutual Center, City Hall, Symphony Hall, right around the corner. I mean, you're really in the heart of the city right there. And of course, Springfield is so walkable. I could talk about the virtues of Springfield for a long time, as you know.
So could I. But so this is beyond hybrid work models where people are thinking about, oh, I work remotely from my home to my work a few times a week, and then I drive to my office a couple of times a week. And there's that hybrid model that everybody seems to be talking about. Now you're talking about taking it to the next level. You live where you work.
Right. And so there would be, for example, we have 20,000 square foot floors that are pretty much ready to be developed. They're vacant floors, and so we're looking at how many units that you could apartment units you could put in there. These would be shared apartments, as opposed to, in some cases they would be where there'd be an individual who would rent the entire apartment. But the model that I'm looking at is where you might have 3 unrelated people living in one apartment. And that is kind of the trend that's happening around the country, where you're sharing your apartment. If you think about it, in Boston, I know my children, my daughter, when she went to Boston University, she would rent an apartment and she would put an ad in the paper for a roommate because she couldn't afford the entire rent. So she would interview somebody, and and they would make a deal together that they would live and share the apartment together. It's almost like that. Is this kind of model? That way, you're sharing the amenities, the bathrooms, and the kitchen with maybe 2 or 3 different people who are unrelated, and then you have common areas in the building for other social and fun things. We have a gym. We have a beautiful art gallery, and we have a really great outdoor space, the plazas on both sides of the building. So that really is attractive, I think, to people to want to live there. It's 24/7 security, so it's very safe. We have outdoor balconies on some floors where you could sit outside and have beautiful views of the valley and the river and the city. And so I mean, it's really a fantastic option, and a way to look and see if there's we're doing a market study and a feasibility study to see if there's demand, and I think there will be, and I think that this is a viable way to go. Reduce some of the surplus office space downtown and convert it to residential is a good deal. Then we have this work hub, which would be designed like a WeWork, where the residents of the apartments would have access to a desk, a workspace, and the amenities in that space. And so it wouldn't necessarily they wouldn't have to work off of their kitchen table, or in their living room or what have you. They could go down the elevator 1 floor and walk into a beautiful, well-appointed office space.
They will be able to have that work home separation, but very close in the same building.
Right. And if you wanted to work, at night, for example, or you got home and you said, well, I need to check, something at work. You go down the elevator and you have a key to your office. You go in and do whatever you need to do.
It's a whole new way of working. You no longer have that big separation between work, the office, and home. Now you're kind of working from home. And I mean, that's what people have been dealing with this whole year. I'm sure many of us by now have somewhat figured out how to handle that. But there's some of us who just can't wait to get back to the office and have that separation again of work and home. I'm sure that the downtown residential market, it's more apt for young professionals or couples, families, very very small families, or just couples without kids, and also those who are are empty nesters. The kids have already gone to college and they're still working. They're still in their 50s, 60s, and they're still working, and they want to be close to the action. So I think those would be great spaces for those folks. And I know the Willie Overland's building just opened.
Right.
1, 2s, and 3s bedroom apartments right on, what is that? That Dwight Street, I believe. I think that's Dwight Street. And my brother actually has an apartment there, so I can't wait to
Nice.
go see it. But there's a lot of action happening downtown. So I do
Yeah.
want to switch gears, if I may. You weren't always in real estate. This is the perhaps at some point in your life, at the very, you're like, you never thought you would make a whole career in real estate. Can you tell us that story? You started in the culinary arts, didn't you, Evan?
Right. Yeah, I did. So my first job, when I was 16, I worked as a prep cook in a restaurant, and that was elevated, kind of coincidentally, and because my boss at the time needed someone to prep the meals for all of the employees of the restaurant who worked for this big corporation, and so I was the designated sort of prep cook to help make those meals when I was 16. And it was a lot of, there were about 40, 50 people that I had to cook for on 2 shifts, twice a day. And I had help, but it was really a lot of coordination but I really like pleasing people that way, and it was really fun because when someone enjoyed your food, it made you feel good that they loved it, and they would always compliment you. So I got this idea that this is not a bad way maybe this is something I want to do in my life, and kind of stuck with me. And when I graduated from college as an English and philosophy major, I went back and got a graduate degree in hotel, food, and restaurant management at Florida International University. And I really learned the ropes there, and I worked in restaurants, and I became a food operations manager, and I helped find their sites actually. So I had a little bit of real estate experience even then. But I really felt the hospitality aspects of the business was something that stayed with me when I later came back and joined my family business, which happened very serendipitously. I came back to Massachusetts because I was in love with someone who I ultimately married. And while I was back in Mass, my brother, who was working with my father at the time, the company was three people. There was a secretary or administrative assistant, my father, and my brother. That was it. And this was like 1979. And my brother convinced me to help out for the summer. He said, "We're really busy right now." They were developing all the Kmart shopping centers in Western Mass. There were like 7 of them, and they were co-developing them with Kmart. And that really took a lot of time. They did all the leasing, all the construction, all the management of 7 or 8 new Kmart shopping centers. So they needed someone to kind of take over the management of the properties we were already taking care of. And they weren't doing a very good job, quite honestly. So when I got in there, I said, "Geez, you're sort of neglecting these clients, and the properties aren't being maintained, and everyone's kind of upset." So I said, "All right, let me help you out for the summer." And I never left. But I think what I recognized early on was that my need to, make, to deliver on a promise was really important to me. That if we said we're going to do something, that we do it. It's, to make sure that it actually happens. So I was always very proactive in that, and would follow up on vendors to make sure work got done. And suddenly the clients were saying, "Oh, this is the best service we've ever had. We really like this." And so I started to grow the management business. And I really didn't even want to be in this business. I really wanted to go back to hospitality and restaurants. I wanted to manage hotels. I wanted to travel around the world. I just wanted to. I loved that industry. But now here I was with my father, who wasn't well, and they were so busy, and I couldn't leave them. At this point, and I never found the opportunity to do what I was trained to do. But I obviously figured it out in the real estate business. Became another language for me, and another occupation that I grew to love.
Excellent. Great. Well, thank you for sharing that story with us. I think it's so important, for folks to share the story of what they were doing before they got into their current industry, and where you found so much success. Any words of advice for those folks who are looking to get into real estate now?
So my advice would be to understand the fundamentals of real estate, to work as a mentee to someone who's in the business, to don't jump in over your head on anything that you don't understand. You have to understand that real estate is a dynamic thing. It's not static. So as it ages, you're going to need to invest money to keep it up. Roofs fail eventually, and buildings depreciate. And so you have to understand that it may be a good value in day one, but you have to make sure that you're looking down the road for what are the risks and where are the hazards, the speed bumps, if you will, that could get in your way. So there are times when things look great on the outside and everything looks rosy, but then you just have to dig deeper, make sure you understand how the property is built. You have to understand environmental issues that can impact real estate. You have to understand that the market's changed in terms. Look at office. If the office market has really been impacted very negatively because of the pandemic. But that being said, multifamily is on the rise, and there's a lot of investors jumping in and wanting to buy multifamily property. But really understand what you're buying. That it's there are a lot of hidden risks with any real estate, and you really need a professional to help you understand what those risks are.
Thank you so much, Evan, for sharing all these great words of advice and knowledge this morning. Thank you for joining me today. And thank you to all the people watching this. Please go ahead and click the follow button and go visit Evan's website. And if you have a chance to stop by Springfield, Massachusetts, check out the 1350 Main Street building. That's the Financial Plaza. I'm sure he'll be happy to welcome you there. So thanks, Evan. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, Samalid. Wonderful to see you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
Bye now.
Bye.